Science has made enormous contributions toward the betterment of human life on Earth. We must show our gratitude to scientists whose hard work and dedicated efforts explore different venues for making our life convenient. Scientific advancements have brought a revolution to our life. While there is a lot science can explain, there are also many things it just can't. You'll see that the findings that we're going to discuss in this video have even baffled scientists. These discoveries include natural to gnarly, extraterrestrial to earthly, and more. So let's talk about the most mysterious discoveries scientists still cannot explain. But before we begin, make sure you've subscribed to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on our upcoming releases. Mysterious sea bones. Most of the ocean remains unexplored even today. The footage taken from a remotely operated vehicle almost 2,700 feet underneath the surface of the water shows a skeleton which seems to resemble a serpent. The large set of bones, having an intact spinal column, has a mass of 100 feet. Common people as well as scientists were blank about the skeleton's possible origin and other details. Therefore, they posted the footage online. People watching the video have related the skeleton to an ancient sea dragon, to fossils of some type of serpent dinosaur. As per sea life experts, the features on the skeleton's vertebra don't match with the remains of a whale. They also assumed it to be some sort of giant fish. Starfish are the longest living bony fish, which are thought to grow only up to 30 feet, whereas the dimensions of the skeleton seen in the footage don't match the size of any sea life found in the area. Alien beach creature. This crustacean found in Australia has a big neck that's more exciting than gooseneck. The name gooseneck barnacles seems to arise from the notion that these strange creatures are goose eggs. Despite having no traces of geese in faraway breeding grounds, medieval naturalists in Europe believed that when goslings were ready to hatch, these barnacles would fall from their rocky perches and miraculously completely grown goslings rose from the sea. It's obviously weird and not true. This exotic seafood is among the most expensive in the world and can cost as much as $125 a pound. Diners like to grasp freshly steamed barnacles by their shelled foot and dip them in bowls of hot melted butter. Barnacles are filter feeders as they are dependent on water movement for feeding. They grow in dense groups, having soft chalky white cells anchored to the object with a meaty black stalk. Barnacles stand on their head and feed through their legs. Elves in space. The recently published observations from space are enlightening us about the nature of Earth's lightning storms, including mysterious phenomena like blue jets or elves. Most recently, the International Space Station's observatory captured a single blue jet from a thunderstorm cell, along with 4 elves' optical and ultraviolet emissions from the bottom of the ionosphere. Researchers from observatories are able to peep down on an elusive lightning phenomenon such as this. We already know that a blue jet is a form of lightning that shoots upwards from thunderstorm clouds. They can reach up to 30 kilometers into the stratosphere and last less than a second. The space station recorded this blue jet, which kicked off with an intense 5 to 10 microseconds flash and a cloud near the island of Nauru in the Pacific Ocean. It also formed fantastic elves, which are rapidly expanding rings of optical and UV emissions at the bottom of the ionosphere, where electrons, radio waves, and the atmosphere interact to form these emissions. Rock-eating worms. Most clams prefer to burrow in a soft bed of sand, but this recently discovered relative of the shipworm chews holes into rocks and excretes the debris as sand. In 2006, during an expedition, this tiny worm-like creature was sighted for the first time. Researchers believe that it was a part of the shipworm family. During a recent biodiversity expedition, scientists got an opportunity to take a closer look at it. This species inhabits only a stretch in this river in the Philippines that stretches for about 2 miles. This new species is at the smaller end of the size spectrum. It has a pale white body and measures hardly 4 inches from tip to tail. It also has a shell that's used for scraping hard materials. It forms part of freshwater animals capable of weathering the landscape. Glacier mice. Despite severe climatic conditions, there exist some mice colonies on a few glaciers and adjacent ecosystems. Mice have been observed in Alaska, Chile, Greenland, Iceland, Uganda, and Venezuela, as well as some sub-Antarctic islands. They come from different species of mice and also host other animals such as worms and insects. Research shows that they retain heat and moisture, which leads to the creation of an ecosystem suitable for microorganisms which otherwise have no chance to survive under a severe glacial environment. Mice are known to carry out regular movements in herds across the ice. Still, no explanation is available for their movement. However, they usually move about an inch every day. They also rotate and roll instead of sliding across the ice. They move in a choreographed formation like a flock of birds or a herd of wild beasts. Fire ant physics. Fire ants form a tower-like swirling structure when they pile together in a shape resembling an upside-down tornado or the Eiffel Tower. They act in this manner once they face an emergency, and they also use this formation to anchor the vegetation when their native Brazilian wetlands are flooded. The construction of the tower by men and fire ants depends on similar structural principles such as towers of constant strength, with spreading wider base to evenly distribute the weight above. Researchers have ascertained that fire ants are capable of withstanding 750 times their body weight without suffering an injury. However, they can conveniently support 3 ants on their back, but in the case of more than 3, they just give up and walk away. Without knowing what they're building, fire ants just follow these. Floating desert oasis. The Siwa Oasis, surrounded by dunes and limestone mountains, lies in the western part of Egypt. This amazing oasis is located in a far-flung area and is an unusual destination famous for its salty lakes and springs. The ancient oasis was once visited by Alexander the Great and is a site most suited for cultural and archaeological tourism, but most of the visitors prefer to go swimming. The oasis remained isolated for hundreds of years until access to it was provided by the construction of a highway which opened it up for tourists in the 1980s. It stretches over an area of 33 square miles and has been able to preserve its original unique ecosystem because of its far-off location. Its climate is a combination of low annual rainfall and high evaporation rates. The absence of good drainage resulted in the formation of these hypersaline lakes. The lakes have striking shades of blue and white. However, the high salt concentration of water facilitates swimmers to enjoy floating above the surface without any effort. For centuries, locals have been utilizing the salt extracted from these lakes. Presently, they use salt in everything from furniture to health treatments. AI apocalypse. These strange images were shared on TikTok by an app user who asked people to show the last selfie ever taken. The results were disastrous, as each image shows a human holding a phone, while in the background one can see the scene of bombs being dropped. It seems that cities are on fire, whereas zombies are standing in the center of the destruction. In fact, it's a pretty challenge involving artificial intelligence to perform miraculous work. These images under the title of Selfie at the End of the World have proven to be extremely popular. The creator of the work also asked AI to demonstrate the last selfie ever taken in the apocalypse. AI generated images of burning city buildings and charred streets. One image shows flashes of light in the sky in the background of the selfie taker. Artificial intelligence believes that the last selfie taken by humans will present scenes with humans taking photographs with their melting skin, blood-smeared faces, and mutated bodies, while the world burns down around them. Holes in the ocean. As reported by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, there exist holes along the seafloor off the coast of Portugal, but their origin is still a mystery. These holes were discovered about 1.7 miles below the surface at the crest of an underwater volcano near the Azores. Just after 2 weeks, more mysterious holes exactly similar to previous ones were discovered about 300 miles away. People narrate different theories to explain the formation of these holes. Some believe that these are alien-made, whereas others attribute their formation to humans, but it seems impossible. However, little piles of sediment around them suggest that they were excavated by something. Recently, during a dive, government scientists spotted a trail of holes more than a mile under the ocean's surface. There exists an unexplored mountain ridge that extends deep below the Atlantic Ocean surface and stretches approximately 10,000 miles. It's considered the longest mountain range in the world. Water emotions. A Japanese named Masaru Emoto, who is a doctor of alternative medicine, claims that ability to think good or bad thoughts while looking at a glass of water results in forming of pleasant or ugly ice crystals. He believes that water responds to emotions. As per him, emotional energies can alter their physical structure. He demonstrated his experience by exposing water and glasses to different words, pictures and music, then freezing it and carrying out an examination of ice crystals' aesthetic properties with microscopic photography. Dr. Emoto claims that different water sources produce different ice structures. Water from a mountain stream, when frozen, resulted in structures of impressively shaped geometric designs, whereas the water from polluted sources created distorted ice structures. Similarly, positive thoughts and speech resulted in the formations of visually appealing ice crystals, whereas negative intentions led to the creation of ugly ice crystal formations. Perhaps Dr. Emoto is right, as all biochemical reactions in the biological cell take place in water. About 75% of all biological tissues in the human body comprise water. Snow donuts. Snow donuts, tire-shaped structures found in the open prairies of North America and some far-flung regions of northern Europe, seem to be man-made, but these are completely natural. These are rarely visible as they require specific weather conditions like wind, temperature, snow, ice and moisture for their formation. They require a relatively thin surface layer of wet snow on the ground. A substrate is required to be below the layer to which snow would not stick, such as ice or powder. Winds need to be strong enough to move the snow donuts, and gravity should be able to move them down a hill. Due to the requirement of precise weather conditions, the formation of snow donuts is a rare phenomenon. These are cylindrical in shape and usually hollow, as the inner layers are fragile and thin compared to the outer layer. Their size can vary from that of a tennis ball to more than 2 feet. These can be blown away and destroyed by a strong wind. Porpoise grave. Guernsey Island is located in the English Channel between England and France. Recently, archaeologists discovered the remains of a porpoise. Porpoises are a group of aquatic marine animals that resemble a dolphin. Experts are confused why this sea creature was buried on the land about 600 years ago, whereas the sea is just 32 feet away from the burial site. Probably the animal was butchered for food and buried underground for preserving its meat. Meanwhile, archaeologists discovered a carefully cut plot which seemed to be a grave. They were stunned to see the skull and other body parts of the porpoise there. Mysterious cosmic map. In 1887, the Cochno Stone was unearthed from a section of farmland. This large cup and ring-marked rock found in Scotland remained buried for quite some time. Presently, this stone is probably one of the most famous prehistoric sites in the UK. It has about 90 carved indentations, which are among the finest sets of petroglyphs in Scotland. It was buried under several feet of soil to protect it. Some carvings have been found on boulders and outcrops overlooking major routes to hunting grounds or waterholes. Probably it was used to mark these spots. Researchers have identified carvings on its surface as possible planets and galaxies. The Cochno Stone is thought to date back to 3000 BC. Diqui sphere. The stone sphere found in Costa Rica is an assortment of more than 300 petrospheres located on the Diqui Delta on Canoe Island. These are commonly attributed to Diqui culture. These have been placed along the routes leading to the chief's houses. In 1940, workers clearing jungles found these large stones which were partially buried in the forest floor. People speculate that these are navigational aids or relics related to Stonehenge. Some think these may represent the solar system. It's estimated that these stones were made around 600 AD when metallic tools were not in use. Before moving to number 1 on this list, take a look at this strange marble-like object that looks quite frightening, especially because of the uncanny resemblance to the eye of a huge scary animal. The outer black shell seems to be cracked open like a nut. It seems like at some point it's going to blink at you, but thankfully it doesn't. Some people think it could be of alien origin. What do you think it is? Lake Michigan Stonehenge. While using sonar techniques, strange structures were discovered at a depth of 40 feet in Lake Michigan's Grand Traverse Bay. Actually, efforts were being made to locate shipwrecks. Archaeologists also found sunken cars and boats. The most surprising thing was the discovery of prehistoric series of stones arranged like Stonehenge. It can be termed the North American version of Stonehenge. They also uncovered a boulder bearing a prehistoric carving of a mastodon. The boulder with petroglyphs is 3.5 to 4 feet high and about 5 feet long. Mastodon is an elephant-like animal which is believed to have become extinct about 10,000 years ago. Connecting these markings can indicate the presence of humans and mastodon at the same time. We hope you enjoyed learning about these strange, inexplicable discoveries. Tell us in the comments which one you found the most fascinating. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. See you all next time.